welcome to East Coast DNA. Today in the apartment studio, we have Brad Reid here with us. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So you're actually going for a showcase at the Music Week next weekend?
Yep, that's right. I've got a showcase Friday evening at the Old Triangle at, I believe it's 8:45. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'll have the band with me, and we'll be playing lots of music from my new Scotland album, which was, it's about 2 years out, 2 years old now, and a couple of new tunes from a new album that'll be coming out in the new year.
Excellent. And I did see as well that you have a pre-save out for a new single for the weekend as well. So.
Yeah, new single on that same day. So Friday, that becomes available.
And what's the name of the new single? I saw the pre-save link.
Yeah, that's called The McDonald Bridge. So the album is called The Bridge. This track, the first track, is The McDonald Bridge. I live pretty close to the McDonald Bridge in Halifax. And it's kind of the idea behind the track and the album is kind of I like to think of it as sort of blending the traditional kind of Cape Breton roots with a little bit of kind of a modern acoustic pop sound. So it's kind of I think of it as kind of a bridge in that way.
So your new Scotland album, I did notice that at the very least at the first review of it, you can see the names are all named after different places.
Quite a bit, yeah.
So is that a theme going into the new album that are they all bridge themed?
I don't know. I never really thought about that, but I don't think so. A couple of them are kind of named after places. Like I also live on Edward Street, so there's a Edward Street jig, but it's not really all named after bridges. It's more so just the concept, I guess. No.
And I did see one thing on your YouTube channel. You had a remix with a cool BMX music video to go along with one of your songs. So how did that type of thing come along? Is that somebody approached you to do a remix of your song, or?
No, I actually did that remix myself.
Cool.
I've just been into kind of electronic music a little bit, and so, I kind of did that remix with the idea of doing that video with it, which is the BMX biking in the skate park, which is something that I've just gotten into the last few years, just kind of as a hobby. So yeah, the remix, I just kind of worked on that myself, brought it back into the studio, and we mixed it up.
I did not follow the little disclaimer on there to put the headphones on first, but I did have a subwoofer on the computer setup where I was doing it, so I had a little wall of sound for it. So
nice.
I did appreciate why you'd want the headphones. It's very catchy.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing where a lot of people will just listen to a song for the first time on their phone or something, and just playing with those phone speakers. And I do it too. But if you really want to get the best sound, you got to either have the speakers or the headphones. Yeah.
And now, just as a little Pictou County plug, since you're here today with me in Glasgow, are you aware of the skate park that just opened in Pictou?
I am aware of it. Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, so I hope to do that really soon. I thought about bringing my bike this morning, but I just didn't manage it. So
we'll have to get you back down, because the person that's really the person responsible for having that happen is also in a band that would be very suited to your fiddle music.
Cool.
The Kitchen Criminals.
All right. Oh, nice. Yeah, maybe we can jam or something.
All right. I would love to see you and them performing at the skate park.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. So if Ashley's listening, or any of the other members of the band, that's my little wish. If you could do that for me, thank you.
Yeah.
So your name, I had told you before we started recording. I knew of you a little bit beforehand, but I also am aware that from naming you a couple times with other people that I've been interviewing, that all the other musicians know who Brad Reid is as well. So I'm assuming that you've been performing with a lot of different artists over the last couple of years.
Yes and no. I mean, I've been around for a long time, playing with as a side musician, I think, with a lot of people over the years, and only in the last few years that I kind of like focus on the solo stuff. So I guess a combination of that, being on the music scene for I don't know, 20 years or so, and then finally, doing some solo stuff and kind of like all the promotion that goes on with that. There's a lot of networking. There's a lot of, these kinds of things. So when you put it all together, I've made some friends along the way, and you get the good jam sessions happening at these kinds of conferences, like the one coming up in Sydney, where you're all sitting around the piano in the lobby or something like that. And yeah, met a few people, and it's fun. That's one of the great things about the industry, is just making those connections and those friends.
Absolutely. So how young would you have been starting into playing fiddle?
I started the fiddle probably when I was about 12, I'd say about 12 or 13, which is, not super young, but it's kind of like it's fairly young. And I actually started with the saxophone first in school. That was okay. I should rephrase that. My first instrument was the guitar. When I was 7 years old, my parents put me in a group guitar class, but after one lesson, the teacher quit.
Oh, nice.
I hope it was no reflection on us or me, but anyway, so next thing that came on was school band. I played saxophone in school band. And, so around that time, my grandfather always played the fiddle too. He was a Cape Breton fiddler. So I went with him to a festival in Cape Breton at the Gaelic College. And that's when I saw kids my own age kind of playing fiddle. And before that, I thought it was just, grandfathers that played the fiddle. So that kind of got me hooked on playing the fiddle.
And so at what age would you have, you actually were in Russia? Is that with the Cirque du Soleil?
That's right. Yeah.
So how long of a gap is it between the 7-year-old trying out guitar for the first time and when you're actually like out touring around doing stuff?
I went to music school as well at St. FX. And then after that, I started working on cruise ships as a musician.
Cool.
And just all around that time, when I wasn't on cruise ships and I was home, I'd, be playing with other people. And then I kind of officially retired, we'll say, from the cruise industry in about 2009. And that's when I was playing a lot with Ryan Cook over the years, starting around then, which was great. We had a lot of fun, did a lot of traveling. And I'd say that's what really kicked off the, kind of the local music performing.
So what would be the inspiration from your own personal reflection of your music? What is the inspiration for you to kind of take that traditional sound and kind of put your own little modern spin into it?
I think having grown up with that saxophone background, and I got, jazz, which is what I studied in university, and what I happened to have a great music teacher when I was growing up, like grade 6 to 9, who would come in early and we'd sort of jam, and he'd like be teaching us about jazz kind of on the side and loaning us his record collection and that sort of thing. So, so that music was always a real part of what I did. But then along with the fiddle, I wanted to be able to kind of carry on the fiddle tradition in my family, but, with all those other genres. And then you mentioned the Cirque, it's all, I just have a lot of influences from all the traveling I've done, different music I've listened to over the years. And I just figured, it's a part of me. So why not just let it all kind of come out and do something with it.
And did having the opportunity to be touring around, like where you've played with other artists as like a hired gun and doing your own solo stuff, you've been around different places in the world. Has having that exposure while performing given you different influences than you would have had just growing up in the Nova Scotia area?
Yeah, I would say definitely. Anything from like, being down in Nashville and hearing some of the really traditional country stuff, or the Texas swing, which is a really cool genre because to me, I hear it being as like a real blend of jazz and country, so that's fun. And, traveling, even in Russia, one of the things I did in Russia was find a bunch of Irish sessions in pubs and go and jam and meet people that way. And so I'm hearing, Irish tunes played by Russians, but then also, you hear some local music too. Anytime there's a session somewhere, you're going to hear some of the local music as well as the common kind of like Irish stuff that everyone knows all around the world.
Sure. So you're kind of getting it a little, you're getting what you know, but kind of filtered through a different lens so that you're seeing a little bit of their influence mixed in and building it with your own.
And that's cool.
And I did notice one thing in your own little bio write-up that I'm kind of glancing over at here right now. The while skating was in there when it was listed after the different instruments and everything you were playing. So was that part of the Cirque du Soleil? You were doing, was it like a figure skating while playing instruments, or?
Well, I was part of the juggling act in the show. So there was a juggler, and the whole show was on ice. So the juggler's skating, then you had a main character named Crystal, who was like a real figure skater. Then we also had like a comedic character also on skates. So for that juggling act, I didn't really do figure skating. I mean, I grew up playing hockey, so little did I know I'd be using the hockey power skating skills and playing clarinet at the same time. But yeah, so I did have a choreography. I'd be out on the ice, kind of following around the characters and skating. Yeah, like a choreographed kind of, almost a dance, I guess, but playing at the same time, going up a ramp.
So did the hockey experience help you? Like, I can't skate myself, so I should be ashamed as a Canadian, but I would not have been able to. I can't play and I can't skate. I would have been horrible at that time.
Yeah, that job's not for you. You could have been back. You could have been behind stage, or behind the scenes. No, but yeah, if I had to learn to skate, get the job and then learn to skate, then it would really slow things down. I mean, some people kind of do that. They're really good at what they do, but don't skate, so they have to learn. And usually in those cases, they're not given a really difficult skating role, but they just have to be on the ice and skate and, not fall over and look somewhat comfortable and relaxed and graceful, but luckily I was a little bit ahead of the game there.
Excellent. So what made you decide, like, as an adult, you're still based out of Nova Scotia? And I know one of the reasons that you were able to stop by is because you're ripping around Nova Scotia. So you're not even just necessarily stationary. But what is it about Nova Scotia that brings you back and keeps you here? Because obviously you've been afforded some opportunities in your lifetime. I'm sure that with the world travel, you would have been exposed to a lot of different things, but you're still, like myself, deciding to stay here.
Yeah. Well, I do like the travel, so I love to get away and get to these other places and kind of experience things and interact with other scenes, I guess. But back in Nova Scotia, you have that connection to the music. If I can be down in Cape Breton whenever I want, whether it's visiting family or just kind of doing the Cayley scenes down there and jamming and, playing tunes. Also, it's nice to be around where it's something I think about, like, should I move on or stay, in Nova Scotia? I definitely enjoy it because of all the people, like you were mentioning before. You have this network already set up, and there's a lot of, I guess I've built a bit of a name for myself here. I have some opportunities, but who knows? Maybe I will choose to move on and then come back. every now and
we're
then.
happy to keep you here, and like I say, I'm here myself, so I realize too that one opportunity these days is that we have the technology to really support people doing just about whatever they want, just about anywhere they want. So it kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off on, if I'm trying to succeed, do I need a new market? You can get a new market remotely, and then you can visit it. You can go play live there and come back home to Nova Scotia. So we can keep
exactly. Yeah, so I like that idea because it's nice to be here, but then go play somewhere and come back. So that's working for now.
And for your solo, you obviously can perform solo by yourself, but you'll also have a full band like you'll be playing with your showcase.
Yeah.
So what's the difference that you find yourself by having a full piece support band for the songs that I'm assuming you're writing a lot of the songs originally?
Exactly. Yeah.
As jigs and reels, and you developed it, but then you're taking your baby and bringing it to another group of people and saying, let's raise this thing together.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't play a lot completely solo. I think with this, especially this kind of fiddle music, Cape Breton style it really goes well with piano or guitar, the accompaniment. So if I was going to do, duo or, small solo-ish stuff, we'd still have that basic kind of accompaniment. But with the original music, I guess, if I'm going to play in that situation with piano or guitar, I would tend to do more of the traditional repertoire and not too much of my original stuff, because if people don't know it, it's not all of it is really straightforward. So it's hard to just kind of play, and play it by ear. But with the band, we work out the arrangements. I'm always playing with, great musicians who can interpret the charts, the music that I write for them, and kind of bring their own spin to it as well. So I guess that's what I like about the band, is that I can kind of like ask everybody to do certain things, and it'll kind of get done.
And being that you do have a showcase coming up Music Week with a full band, is there, I know especially from interviewing people, that these showcases tend to be the best people you can get up on stage with you, but not everybody can always make it. So sometimes some of your regular buddies have to be substituted. So is there anyone, you got your regular players going with you this time?
Well, I actually have 2 substitutions.
No, that's what I was going to get at. I like to know before I go, like I'll be checking as many sets as I can, but I like to know who else is up on the stage with people.
Yeah.
Just to get a feel for how everyone's all connected. So
Darren McMullen has been playing guitar with me the last, while. So he's fairly a regular. So he'll be there. And then filling in on the bass will be Ed Woodsworth, who's, he lives in Sydney and is a great musician. He plays with lots of people and has his own music on the go. And then a friend of mine from the Halifax area, Dave McRae, will be playing percussion. So yeah, we've already been getting together and jamming and having some rehearsals, and it's going great. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
And then after Music Week, do you have some live performances lined up? You have a new album in the works, so I know that you'll be wanting to support that at some point.
Exactly, and that's looking like it'll be in the spring, maybe March. So between now and then, there's a couple of more kind of conferences and festivals that are on the go. Yep. I'm looking at heading to Glasgow in January in Scotland for the Celtic Connections Festival. And then the big one, Folk Alliance International in Kansas City in February. So we've got a showcase there. So that'll be awesome. A lot of fun too.
Some good exposure leading up to a new album release.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that actually is a theme with a lot of these recent string of interviews, is there's a lot of people that they're doing Music Week, a couple other things are coming up while they're working on a new album. In the spring they're releasing it. So the good thing is none of you sound the same. It's all different styles and blends of genres and everything.
That's great. Yeah.
I'm going to have an awesome playlist in the car next spring because I'm going to be like, oh, these are all the bands that I interviewed. So it will be awesome.
Yeah. Great.
With the new album, is this the same players that you're going to have with you at the showcase, or do you have anybody else contributing with this one?
Yeah, the new album is going to be slightly different. I'm going to have piano on it and some bass, whereas the other one was guitar, bass, and percussion. So with the piano, probably going to be a couple of people. Troy McGilvery is involved, Kim Dunn, and there may be somebody else. So we're
wait and see. Surprises.
Yeah, I'm kind of like just finishing up the last couple of tracks, and then Ron Hines has played some bass on it.
Oh, cool.
Probably get Jamie again to play some more bass as well. But yeah, it's mostly going to be piano and fiddle. That's kind of the focus of it.
And it's probably way too early to ask because the originals aren't complete yet. But are you considering maybe doing some more remix type ideas with some of these songs?
I would definitely consider it because it's fun and it just kind of opens it up to a different audience. I'm also considering just doing some separate tracks because this album will be all original music, but then sometimes I like to just take some traditional tunes and do something with that. So that's an option too, to just kind of make a track using traditional tunes and have that remix vibe going on.
That'd be really fun to hear. So definitely keep the podcast in mind when you're working on this stuff, and let us know what's coming out. We can share it, or you're welcome to come back and talk again in the future. And
sounds good.
As I mentioned, that Picto skate park looks pretty awesome. Maybe if you decide to do another video, you could record one here. Let me know. We'll get you some background players to stand around, make it look like you get a big, huge crowd there for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, you also did bring some instruments here today.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could give our listeners and viewers a little bit of taste of what Brad Reid has to offer them.
Yeah, could play a tune.
All right, we'll just take a small little break here so you can get set up, and then we'll give everyone a little musical treat.
Sounds good. All right, so I'm going to play this tune. You were talking about the remix. So this is the tune that I did the remix of, Haley Small's Reel. This was from, I kind of wrote this tune while listening to a song on the radio in the car a couple of years ago. Haley Smalls is a kind of an R&B artist from Toronto, and she had a tune on there, and I just started singing a fiddle tune along to it. And it's kind of a, funky R&B song. So the tune ended up being, kind of having that vibe. So here is Haley Smalls Reel.
All right, welcome back. A nice little musical treat for everyone. And so, Brad, before we sign off for the day, where could our listeners and viewers find you online if they want to keep up to date?
Yeah, well, you could go to my website, which is bradreid.ca. I'm also on Instagram, Brad Reid Fiddler. I'm on Facebook and Twitter too, but Instagram out of those ones is the one where I'm most active. That's always fun. You can find me on there. Of course, music's on Spotify, Bandcamp, the rest of the places too, Apple, whatever.
Yeah, I think you're finding, I guess, that Instagram probably is the most active people for music posts anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's TikTok is there too, but I haven't really
cracked the code.
No, I haven't. I haven't gotten around to TikTok yet.
When maybe it might have to wait until after Music Week because we're right on the cusp of it now. But when afterwards, scroll through some of the other interviews we had here this week and check out a few of them have their own TikTok accounts. I think some of them have cracked the code.
Oh, so yeah? Well, I'm sure they have, yeah.
Wait to see. And the 12-year-old sometimes co-host, my daughter that is normally down the hall, she got herself up to the point that she can do the TikTok live streams now. So I think you need 1,000 regular followers or something. So.
Geez, I'll have to hire her.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I might have to start plugging her because I know there's quite a few artists have said that too, is that like, I know TikTok has an audience, but I'm not quite sure how to get the audience to look at my videos.
Well, I mean, I see some great stuff on TikTok of people. It's for me, I think I could, it's just a matter of fitting it into the, yeah. I've got, there's only so many things. Only so much time in the day. So I'll get there.
Yeah. Like you were saying, when we were in between the recordings there, we're having a little technical assistant would be helpful. You need a social media assistant
for sure.
Follow you around and be like, oh, what you did there was cool. Put that on TikTok. And
exactly.
Then this thing's going on Instagram. So
speaking of which, we got to get a photo of us here before we leave.
Oh yes, absolutely. we'll grab a little photo after we stop recording. We'll throw that up today, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you for coming, and I'm going to do my best to catch your show there too on Friday. So yeah. I have time to.
I'll send you an email reminder.
Well, it will be for everyone that's watching this. It's probably going to come up on the screen very shortly here, or it's at the very least in the show notes, and it will be in our promos. So everyone will be beaten over the head with what it is, and nobody has an excuse for saying, I wasn't sure. All right. Thanks again, Brad, and we'll see you next weekend.
All right. Thanks, Darcy.
Bye.
Bye.